So perceive what is true is so easy. You just ask yourself any question like that. For example, an easy one to ask yourself would be, when I die, where do I go? And you can watch yourself or your thinking mind scramble around a little, and maybe it's going to tell you heaven or hell or limbo. If you're a Catholic, maybe you go in limbo. Or if you're not a Catholic, I'm sorry. And maybe it's going to tell you, maybe I'll be reborn here or whatever. But if you keep on really asking yourself, just straight up, you'll always come to this place that says, well, the bottom line is, I don't know. I have no idea. And that is the truth. And so that is where we begin. That's the point of practice, where we start with Zen. Embracing this not knowing mind instead of running away from it and inventing or making something up to fill in this discomfort that we have because we don't know. And so when we sit, we come to the Zen Center, and like you were saying, it's just, you come and breathe in, breathe out. I mean, that's pretty basic. That's the most basic instruction that there could possibly be for any pursuit on this planet. Breathe in, breathe out. Only Dharma, only breathe in, breathe out. Thinking's going to come for sure. The thinking comes, dum-de-dum-dum-dum-dum, tomorrow this is. And then you just return to the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It's like a glass of muddy water, okay? Our consciousness is like a glass of muddy water. So what we're doing is we're shaking this glass all the time, shaking it up with all of our activity and all of our avoidance. And so sitting is like putting the glass on the table and not touching it, just letting it be. And as we do that, the mud that's in the water slowly, 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 slowly comes down, 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 where it rests on the bottom of this glass. And it's like a little bit of sludge there. But the water is very clear. The part that's on the top is very clear. And this is like the process of meditation. We're just putting that glass down. That's ourself. We sit down, breathe in, breathe out, and the mind is racing. The thinking is racing. It's like a locomotive train that you suddenly told it had to stop, but it takes some time to stop because it's going, it has momentum. And this thinking that's running all around like, oh my God, and this and that, and we sit down and our shoulders come down a little. We actually can feel our breath, and pretty soon you can actually hear that air conditioner and the little sounds on the floor, and the birds, and you can see and you can smell, and everything is complete because all of this filters really. Our thinking is like a filter that's blocking our view, so we see through this filter. So I see you through my opinion, my condition, my situation. Oh, this is this kind of person, he's this kind of politics, is this kind of status in life, he's funny, he's not, I like him, I don't. And all that, it happens in a nanosecond. 1 nanosecond, it's just boom. And we're doing it all day long because our thinking's just going. Practicing means when that mud comes down, okay, it's just coming down. And now it's like resting on the bottom of the glass. It's still a part of us. It's inherently not good or bad. It's part of the earth, the water, and the mud. Not good, not bad. But it's like, oh, hello. And you see this person, and there's no opinion, no condition, no situation. Then it's very clear. Then, oh, that your interaction is clean. It's clear. And your response becomes clean and clear. It's not all tainted by all this agenda or a perspective. The original perspective being I am. So I am Jane, and that's my original perspective. And everything comes from that. And everything that comes from that perspective, from I, means I got to protect her, and I got to keep anything away that's not going to be good for her, And then I'm going to carve a little boundary around here. And, ooh, that's not too comfortable. Got to get rid of that. And that's an angle. That's, everything comes from that perspective of oneself. If you have no I, then you and the universe become one. Not attached to I am. Absolutely marvelous. And it all comes from just letting the mind settle down. Then see clear, hear clear, smell clear, life clear. Everything becomes clear. So it's this really, really powerful thing. It's very simple. It couldn't be more simple. I think people think Zen is esoteric because it is so simple. A long time ago in China, somebody asked Joju Zen Master, why did Bodhidharma come to China? Joju Zen Master said, the cypress tree in the front garden. So beautiful. If you're thinking, then you think, then that's very complicated. What does that mean? Why did Bodhidharma come to China? Then you say the cypress tree in the front garden? And the thinking begins. If you have no thinking, then the cypress tree in the front garden is Bodhidharma, is truth, is you, is all things. So it's really using what's right in front of us to wake up from our dream. We are living in a hallucination, we human beings. I can personally attest to that, having spent billions and trillions of hours doing it. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I'm sitting at home and I'm eating a tomato. But I'm not tasting this tomato. I'm thinking about something else, right? Or I'm driving in my car and the radio's on. My ears, I'm not deaf, my ears are working. Everybody's ears work. Listen to this sound. We don't even have to try. Our ears work. That's hearing hears. We don't hear. Hearing hears. But if you're thinking, and you're in your car, and I think probably all of you have experienced this, and you're driving in your car, and you suddenly stop the car at a red light, then what? You hear the tail end of the story, and they say something like, and then 400 people were killed. And you think, what? But you haven't heard anything that was said. Why? Because our consciousness is all clogged up with this other stuff. It can only do one thing at a time. So if it's like, and I got this report due, and I got to pick up the kids, and one's in one place, and the other one's over here, and how am I going to do that? And I wish my husband would have called me, and that kind of thing that we do. That's so nonstop. Then we can't hear the story until that that red light, and then it's like, and the 400 people were killed. So this is what we talk about when we meditate, when we just let it rest. That's embracing this not knowing mind. Being able to sit down and just breathe in, breathe out. That's don't know mind. That's letting the thinking rest. We have plenty of time to do it later. We did plenty of it before. But for this half an hour, I'm just going to let it rest. I'm going to try this other way. That's this not knowing. I'm going to embrace not knowing. I'm going to put my arms around it and feel it. And this not knowing, this is our don't know mind. And it's the same thing that runs the earth. It's what runs the planet. It's what runs the rivers and the mountains and the dogs and the cats and the trees. And I always say, for those of you who've heard me say this, forgive me, but a lemon tree never produces cherries. It doesn't have to think about it. Every year it makes lemons. It does its job. A dog never meows. It knows its job. Water always flows to the sea. It knows its job. It does its job perfectly without thinking. Now the leaves are changing, like they do every year, all without thinking. So the only the only ones on this planet and this earth who don't know their job is us. We can't find our correct job. We can't find our way because our thinking is clogging up our senses, really. Clogging up our natural born ability to function clearly like all of those other things. So that's really the power of it. And I think if you take the time to practice, it shows that you care. You care enough to try to stop the madness. You care enough to try to help this world. There's a lot of suffering in this world. An unbelievable amount of suffering. And of course we can just kind of blind it out a bit living in our cushy little situation here. But you don't really have to look too far to find it. And so the one thing, there's all kinds of protests and demonstrations and fundraising and politics and lots of things that are good and that have helped and that continue to be important. But the root of it all that suffering, the very root is this I, attachment to I. My family, my country, my God, my politics. And then that's where you get all manner of suffering that's divided out of that. That's where war comes from. That's where domestic violence comes from. That's where suicide comes from. That's where our confusion and our unhappiness come from. It's this root. And it's because we don't understand, because we haven't given it the time and the energy. We don't understand that there's no such thing. That there's no such thing as I. So I would encourage you all to come to the Plymouth Zen Center or the Cape Cod Zen Center, nearby neighbors, and see if you can find that, See if you can come and embrace this. Just let yourself just not know for a change and see what happens.